Ladies and gents, welcome to the big video. The video that many of you have been waiting for or expecting, and I don't blame you. This is a video I should have made a long time ago. And I'm going to be honest, it was intended to be made a long time ago. I was waiting on certain things to happen, and you know how life is. If you're waiting for something, it's probably not going to happen. And of course, you've seen the title. We're going to be talking about Nightmare World. And as I know there's probably going to be quite a few people here who have joined my channel since then, I'm going to give a quick recap so that people aren't completely in the dark. So Nightmare World is a game project that I was working on. Where do I even start with this? So essentially, it was an MMO project that I started and a lot of people volunteered to join in with, and we were all working on it voluntary. Now, you might be thinking, Nightmare World, that just sounds like a rip-off of Dream World, and pretty much is exactly what it was. Now, when I started my channel, Dream World was a MMO Kickstarter that had a lot of promises that it didn't deliver on early on, despite those being core features like, I don't know, multiplayer, and many other things like that. And as a bit of a joke, on a week-by-week basis, as they put out updates, and most of them were broken horrendously, in my videos, I started to actually just recreate those features, but working, right? And you guys enjoyed seeing that side of it so much that we then transitioned from just me doing those updates to, should we throw together like an MMO demo and, you know, get something together working and just have a bit of fun? Now, the time frame of this and the kind of time period of this is really important. A few years ago, you may all remember that the big C happened, you know, COVID. We were all stuck at home, some countries for much longer than others. The UK was stuck at working from home for the best part of a year. Or, you know, lockdown for the better part of a year. These are just things that happened, and a lot of people were bored, and a lot of people had free time. So I ended up with a team of roughly 20 people, myself included, that were volunteering to just do this because it was fun. It was something to do, and it was something we enjoyed doing, and people wanted to learn additional skills in the kind of game dev area. So it worked. We were having a blast doing that. And then about a year and a half ago, updates on that kind of stopped happening. You know, I stopped making videos on it. And because of that, you guys had a lot of questions of what's happening with it. Is it stopped? Is it going? Is it on hiatus? What's the thing? Is it a dead project? And at that period of time, I had made the last video on Nightmare World. The last one to this day. And that was me explaining that I was in the process of looking for external investors. Not crowdfunding or anything, and this is a misconception that I'm going to get into. Because I've seen a lot of, not even misinformation, but just pure disinformation about what Nightmare World is, how it was intended to be created, how I was paying people or not paying people. The whole thing has recently spiraled out of control and is one of the key reasons that I am now making this video. But I will get into that in a moment. So as I say, COVID ended, and what happened when COVID ended? All the people that were stuck at home, either waiting to go back to work or, you know, in some situations, now able to find work because they lost their job due to COVID, it was now important for them to go back to work or to go back to the office or to find a job to replace the one they lost because of COVID. And this was a very large majority of the team. Up until this point, we'd had, you know, some of us 40 hours a week that our jobs were paying us to stay at home and not do work because it couldn't be done from home. Those 40 hours were now gone. You know, people had to go back to work, and that's understandable. That was always the outcome we knew we'd arrive at. It was just a matter of time. So around that time, when people started going back to work, I decided, okay, there are two options here. One, we just kind of call it quits and we've had fun, right? No one's put any money into this. It's an easy decision to make. The other possibility was to get external funding from a VC or just a medium-sized investor. And that's what we chose to do. We chose to start looking for investors. We met with investors, and we couldn't come to an agreement on it for a few reasons. Number one being that at that moment in time, a lot of investors, medium-sized investors, were looking for Web3. Anything you threw at them, they'd mostly come back with, well, what's your Web3 strategy? Did you have an NFT launch plan to go with this? And I don't think they even fully understood why that wouldn't work with what we were doing. And we did get some offers. Like, we got some really big offers that matched or exceeded what we were asking for. But the catch was Web3, blockchain, NFT, crypto. And we all unanimously agreed before we went into any further investor meetings after the first one that we don't want to give up what the project was, right? What it was intended to be. And going in with all this crypto crap would have done exactly that. It would have just sold out the project, and it would have been nothing of any worth to any of you guys, right? And the second big problem here is the companies that are interested in investing in just straight up normal games weren't too interested anymore, purely because as COVID kind of petered out, and I'm not saying like, it vanished like click of a finger, but when the kind of ramifications of having to stay home and everything all petered off, and kids could go back to school, well, the gaming boom that had happened through COVID also petered off because people were spending less time at home. So it's understandable that game investors at that point in time were incredibly wary of backing anything gaming related that hasn't been tried, tested, and proven by, for example, medium to large size game companies. So the period of time which we looked for outside investment was an unfortunate period of time. And speaking of investment, this is one of the reasons that I really, really wanted to talk about this. So aside from you guys constantly asking about this, which I don't mind, I saw a lot of people saying that I was trying to avoid the question because I'm hoping you guys all just forget that I was ever working on a game. That's not true. I have had so many questions that I have answered in depth on YouTube comments, in Twitch streams, in Discord. People who follow the channel closely generally seem to know what's going on with this. And I know that's no excuse. I'm not saying that, oh, you should all know this. I don't expect you guys to read every single comment, anything like that. But I figured enough of you have asked that I should probably make a video on it, along with the other problem, the other reason that this video is being made. I've seen increasing amounts of just pure disinformation about Nightmare World, and it is coming from a small group of people that are not my viewers. They're not my regular viewers. They are fans of a project that I have criticized in the past for being a crypto rug pull, essentially, or a crypto scam. And apparently they feel so passionately about my coverage of their game that the only way they can disprove what I said about that game is to spread complete misinformation about the passion project that me and 20 people volunteered, completely voluntary, by the way, because this is another thing. I've seen people say that I paid myself a wage to work on the game, and then I had slave labor from 20 people. Nope, not true. And you can ask anyone who's put time into the Nightmare World project about this. Nobody got paid. Where would we get paid from? There was no money. And everybody was voluntary, myself included. I, in fact, put money into tools and equipment and hardware that we needed to just play forward with it. I actually lost money on it, and that's fine, because at that moment in time, I never intended to make money on it. And the next one, which I find bewildering, because this is kind of like a double whammy that I've seen perpetuated so much by this small group of people that I've even had my viewers, some of you guys, coming to me and almost stating it to me as if it's fact, but as a bit of a question, right? And I don't know where this has come from, because I've tried to trace this back to who said this and where has this come from. And I even asked one of the members of this group who was just perpetuating the same information, which is, apparently, I ran a Kickstarter for Nightmare World that you guys funded, and then I rug pulled and ran off with the money. Surely if I did that, you guys would know that a Kickstarter had apparently existed, because this is news to me. I wasn't aware that we've apparently run a Kickstarter. And I even asked one of the people that were perpetuating this lie, and I know it was coming from them. I said, where's this evidence that we ran a Kickstarter? And he goes, don't know, can't remember, but you did. Okay. Sure, that happened. But no, I mean, for those of you who've watched the Nightmare World kind of devlogs from the beginning up until they stopped, you would all know that there was never a Kickstarter. But obviously people are confused because it's now being perpetuated as some sort of a truth, which is kind of weird, but okay. Just wanted to clarify that one. And then the follow-on from that is, again, a small group of people are saying that I took the money that we raised, apparently, which was a grand total of 0, because we never asked for any money off you guys, and I bought a new car, because the timing was apparently uncanny that I got a brand new car that I'd posted a photo of on Twitter, now X, and people were looking into how much that car costs and the fact that that's when the devlog stopped. So I'd clearly rug pulled and taken off with money. Which again, anyone who's watched my videos will know that at that point in time, I bought a new car because I was involved in a very serious car crash that, well, because of the fact it left me with permanent nerve damage in my right arm and leg, I got a pretty big payout from the insurance, which paid for the car that I bought. And I didn't think I'd need to have to explain that, and to most of you guys watching, I probably don't need to explain that, because it's weird that that's being perpetuated, but whatever. But I guess we'll get on to the future, right? The question you've all been asking, is Nightmare World dead? Is it alive? What's happening? Is it on the wayside? And I have to explain it with this. The reason I didn't make a video sooner explaining this is because I've recently been talking to those investors that I spoke to, you know, in that kind of bad period of time for game investments. And we've had some back and forths, had some meetings, spoke about things, and I was waiting to be able to make a video with a definitive, yes, this is golden, we've, you know, got investment for it from a third party, and we're going to be playing ahead. And yeah, it's taken a lot longer to go through all these meetings, have kind of reiterations over it, and now I feel it's been so long between videos that, screw it, I'll just come and tell you that it's in limbo, right? It's currently, I would say, on hiatus, because I don't have the funds to get these people that were volunteering their time during COVID to be full-time. And this is something I always said. The reason I didn't want to do, or that I decided in the end not to do, like a patron or something for Nightmare World, is because I want to be able to offer these talented people a stable, guaranteed job that doesn't rely on month-to-month payments, where I turn around and say to him, oh, by the way, dude, can't afford to pay you next month, so we'll get this month out of the way and then on your way. That's not fair to do, especially after, you know, the big C had taken place and had kind of ruined a lot of people's lives, or at least ruined a lot of people's careers. So it'd be really unfair to have people kind of hanging by a string or hanging by a thread and not knowing month to month what's happening. So I always wanted to be able to get a lot of funding up front to be able to keep them on for a year or two at least, and have that be a stable job. And that wasn't an option. So the other option was shelve it until there is a way we can do that. And that is actually something that I'm still figuring out. So it's not, Nightmare World isn't dead. For all of you who lost hope and thought, well, it's over now, he's just brushed it under the rug and that's it, we're not going to hear about it anymore. It's on hiatus at the moment. And all the people that were working on it, they all still chat. A lot of them are working on micro projects with one another, you know, with the few hours a day or week that they can put into it. And they're making some really cool stuff. I'm doing the same. The workload required to do what we were doing required a large amount of people just to even get the gears turning and to get things stepping forward bit by bit. So I guess the grand summary of this that you're all wanting to know is it is on pause. I've put it on ice for now until I get an outcome of these investor meetings, right? There are 5 or 6 investors that I'm talking to that I talked to back then, and I actually stayed really good friends with. One of which I once a month go for drinks with, nothing to do with investment, just hang out, catch up. He's a cool guy, and he's interested in the gaming space. He invests in a lot of games, so that is potentially one of the people we may go with if we can strike up a deal that works. And to clarify, I want to strike up a deal with them where I'm not asking for less money just to be able to get some money. I'm asking for the amount of money that is needed to complete the project because the intention is to complete the project. And I also don't want you guys to pay for it. I have warned you about the crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and all of that stuff in the gaming industry. I've warned you about all of it. And it would be really disingenuous of me to turn around and say, hey guys, can you pay me to make this game that you want? I know it's a normal thing to do, and it's been kind of standardized now, but I don't want to do it because of the precedent I've set, and I hope you all understand that. But yeah, that is the update on the situation. The Nightmare World situation is crazy. Yeah, that's not going to be the video title, forget that. But that's the update on the situation that you've all been asking about so much. And the reason this video exists is because I put it out on the community tab of my channel asking if you were interested. And there was an overwhelming majority that wanted an update on this. So there you have it. So I will leave you with that. And if there are any further developments that are worth talking about, you know, investment seeking, or just anything that may happen to change the way this goes down, I'll definitely keep you all updated on this. But yeah, guys, as always, take care. A massive thank you to my patrons. You guys are legends. And I will see you in the next video.